Hello, and welcome to the Trail Manners Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Manning, coming to you from the beautiful trails in Ogden, Utah, but connecting you to wherever trail, ultra, and mountain running takes us. We'll bring trail running to life with amazing athletes, discuss the latest topics, epic journeys, and get you stoked for your next trail adventure. We're sharing the moments that make life special, because even a rough day on the trail beats a good day indoors, and nothing beats time spent with good friends and great stories. Catch us here weekly for your dose of dirt, vert, and good vibes. So now it's time to top off your water, grab some cheese curds, and join us for this week's podcast, where we take you deep into the heart of our sport. It's go time. Hello and welcome back. It's been a while to the Trail Manners Podcast. This is episode number 321 of The Rebirth. The Trail Manners Podcast is produced for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at trailmanners.com. Come back often, and please feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Trail Manners. And don't forget to subscribe, review, and rate us on iTunes. And if you're so inclined, Trail Manners would really appreciate any donations via our website at trailmanners.com. And please remember to share us with your friends. Let them know we are back. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get after it. All right, welcome back. You are listening to the Trail Manners Podcast. I am your host, Eric Manning. The launch date for this show is 11/22/23. That is November 22nd, 2023. We are back. It's not a relaunch. This is like a rebirth, and I'm super excited. We put so much time and effort into this rebirth. A lot of things going on. I've got almost 2 months of a podcast lined up, guests on queue, and just super excited to be back. It's been a while. It's going to be fun. So here we go. And don't forget, our next episode, we're going to be having a new segment to the podcast. It's called Runcation. So you already figured out what that means. But we're going to have a new segment. We'll have a few episodes here and there about just runcations and what that means. But again, thank you for listening to the show. Hope you're back. Please share us with your friends. Let them know that the Trail Manners Podcast is back. We are live. We are kicking. And if we're looking at dates, 11/22/23 is the launch, but 11/23/15 was the initial podcast we ever put together. So that would have been 8 years ago, was our very first episode. Now you're listening to 321, and we always will remember, we've got the beer of the week. And we've had this one on the show, but I'm thinking if we're rebirthing here, then we're going to bring back, I haven't even cracked it yet, we've got one of my all-time favorite breweries, Mother Earth Brew Company. You guessed it, we got Hop Diggity. It's a double IPA. This is a top 5 for me, has been for quite some time. It's hard to dethrone a top 5. You've got to really bring it. So check it out, Mother Earth, Hop Diggity, double IPA, tropical juiciness, sweet pineapple, and strawberry fields. I don't even taste all that. I just taste goodness as it hits my tongue. So let's crack that baby open. Oh, you heard that. This is it. So let's bring back to the show. So we've got a guest. It literally is one of the greatest humans I know. It's time to roll out the red carpet for our special guest, Harrison Fluman.
Eric, nice to be here for the relaunch, rebirth.
It is so good to have you back. You were last on our episode. You've been here before, multiple times.
Yeah.
You've been on episode 113, 118, 120, and the last time, 124. Wow. Do you remember that?
I remember at least a couple of them.
Well, that was in October 9th, 2018.
Wow.
Pre-COVID. We had no idea what was coming.
If we only knew.
If we only knew.
Yeah.
Yep, we would have changed some things.
I think so.
I think so. I would have traveled more first. invested in a few other things. But yeah, last time you were on an episode, it was episode 124. And the reason we had you on so many shows at that time is because you entered or you registered for the Bigfoot 200. Now, that was in 2018, so lots changed.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
But we followed you, training, all the stuff, pre-race basically, and then of course 124 when you came back from your finishing 32nd overall. And my favorite thing, because I know it's been around a while, but 81 hours and 12 minutes. That's longer than one day.
It is. It is. Yeah. I got 12 minutes was me just complaining about walking around a track.
Well, if you only complained for 12 minutes out of 81 hours.
No.
No, you complained a little bit more than that?
A little more, but yeah. Yeah, it was a long time.
But
a long time out there and a long time ago. Yeah. So,
both.
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
I do.
Yeah.
I do remember it. Yeah. It was definitely a good experience. Actually, like when you mentioned the other day about you listened to it, I did too. I re-listened to that last podcast. So yeah, it was kind of fun to relive it again, kind of right after it. So,
yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
You know what? And honestly, this is why I love podcasting, to be honest, is because it's in the history banks. It's there. We just, like I said, I went and I'm like, hey, I'm going to have Harry on. He's going to be the guy that kicks us this rebirth. What a better way. And so I went back and listened to it. Oh, man, such a blast.
I didn't realize I shut you guys down, though. I mean, was that like the last one?
That wasn't the last one. Yeah, you didn't shut us down.
That's good.
Yeah.
It was COVID, I think, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a few things, I mean, obviously, if you haven't listened to the Trail Manners podcast before, we've been around since 2015, and it was myself and Joel Hatch started this thing, and for a few years, 2 shows a week. Just
a lot.
Just lots, right? Yeah. Killing it early on with trail running podcasts. There weren't a ton out. There were definitely some. And then, Joel stepped away so he could go after his career, pole dancing. And so when he left, no, I'm just kidding. He left. He had some family and work things, so life, right, took over. I made the go for a bit by myself, which is not easy because no one wants to listen to me. It was like this Joel thing and me. And then COVID did hit, and we tried to get it re-energized, and life got in the way, and no excuses. But it's been a while, right? So now we're back.
I know, and I will say for Joel, I've the few times I have ran in the last 6, 7, 8. I'm just kidding, not that long, but Joel's in great shape. Holy shit, he ran us into the ground on Tuesday. So
yeah, we're chasing that rabbit. Yeah, he was giggling. We were breathing hard. My heart did weird things. I still can't explain. I've Googled it. Yeah. And it said see a physician, so I don't know what that means, but I mean, here you're no stranger to trail running, and I know if you're not familiar with the 200 race, I mean 32nd, 81 hours, 12 minutes, and I know like the winner's time in any race is about higher. First of all, to finish a 200, just incredible, right? I don't care who you are, but just a quick little rundown, just to give a little resume. You've done 2017, the Bear 100 in 29 and a half. You've done I'm Tough 100, 30 hours. 2016, Buffalo 100, 1822, and we will talk about that.
There we go.
Waldo 100K, Gorge Waterfall 100K, which I'm picking your brain because I am in the Gorge Waterfall 50K in April. Bucket list of all-time race. You've done San Juan Solstice at 50, Antelope Canyon 50, Bear 100, and you did do, I said the Bear 100 already, but you did it in 25, 35 one year. You've done the Bryce 100. I mean, your race resume, Tahoe Rim, multiple Antelope Islands, the Moab Red Hot, Run Rabbit Run 50. I mean, you've done a lot. Yeah. So you're no stranger to the game, and that is a song.
Yeah, I mean, I've never, I guess, listened to all of it like that. But yeah, it's just been a while. Like you said, that was the last really, that was the last race aside from, the 50K a couple weeks ago. So it's been a long time, but then we tried the Bear after that too, but we kind of, Brie and I tried to run that. We dropped, but that's been a while. I mean, I have, since I moved to Utah, I don't know how many years ago now, 12, 15, I don't know, something.
A while ago.
I come from more of like a road running background, and nothing like, crazy great, but, I've always ran.
You've always been fast. I've run with you in the past, or I've seen you run in the past, usually the backside. And then the front side when you're coming back because I'm still going out. But you're fast, so let's get that out of the way.
Well, coming out, moving to Utah is when I kind of transitioned to trail stuff. So I think the first ultra distance I did might have been Run Rabbit Run 50 miler back in 2011, 2012, something like that. So, yeah, I mean, for that stretch of time from like 2012 to 2011-ish for the next,
2011.
There you go.
Run Rabbit 50.
Yeah.
9 hours, 35 minutes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's when I kind of transitioned to trails and really just went out of my way to kind of pick places and races that I wanted to go to and wanted to see. And moving from, the East Coast to the Mountain West, I mean, there's endless opportunities to see some cool stuff. So that's really what I used, trail running for, was an excuse to see cool places and do it on your feet, and met a lot of great people, and it's just been fun. So,
do you remember the first time we met?
I'm going to get this wrong, but I'm going to guess. You and I were, you were shirtless. No, I don't remember. Exactly. Maybe it was on the island. Am I guessing right?
No.
Okay.
I just gave you the buzzer too. I did one of these.
Did you? Oh, that's sweet.
That wrong answer.
Okay. We were.
First of all, I've never been shirtless. I shower with a shirt on.
Really? Yeah. It's okay. We'll get into that later, I think. I assume it was on the island because that's really, through my work is kind of how I met a few folks, and then kind of met some more people in the trail running world, and that's how I remember it. But when is it?
I'll tell you.
Okay, go for it.
I've got a memory, like an animal with a good memory.
Right.
You name it. I don't know which one it is. People say elephant, but I can't ever tell if that's the short memory or the long one. I know it's not a goldfish because I love Ted Lasso.
That's a great show.
We met. You showed up at a run.
Okay.
With Curtis Thompson.
That lines up.
Joel Hatch.
Okay.
Dan Frey.
Yep.
And myself.
Did I say anything? Probably not.
This is the story. We showed up to Wheeler Creek Trailhead, and we ran Sardine Loop.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's a jaunt.
Yeah.
How many words came out of your mouth in that run?
I would say maybe none.
Well, you're close. It's 0.
So take out the maybe.
I never had met you before.
Right.
And, of course, everybody else there, we'd run together and everything. Right. We had our little run group. And, here comes this long-haired, Trail Jesus-looking guy. We're like, okay, who's this cat? And he's like, oh, yeah, he went to Penn State. And I'm like, okay, cool. Wrestling background. I remember things.
Yeah, you got it.
I do. And
it was a good first impression is what you're saying. I probably gave is what that was.
I didn't call you that. But no, you literally didn't say one word on the whole run. And I kept trying to figure out okay, I'm not a judgy guy.
Right.
But can he talk?
No.
Is he mute? Can he hear? And does he have a tongue?
He's just delayed. It takes that's how I rationalize it to people. It takes 3, 4, 5 years for me to look him up.
And even then, that tracks.
Even then, it's questionable at best, and it's even worse now because I work from home.
Yeah,
and I am I can't even function with people.
No,
I'm serious. No, it's like I'm sitting at my kitchen table with 3 dogs. When you just talk to dogs all day, and Brian's there obviously, and Gage is in the basement. But other than that, it's just now I'm out. If I go out in the world, it's it's bad.
Well, you're doing great today.
Thank you.
No, but you were super quiet.
Because you're holding my hand.
Yeah.
There's no video.
See us. Yeah, right. Lights are off. We got the set. No, but you were really quiet.
Yeah.
But also, as a person like me, kind of, I would have liked to have you made words and set form sentences because it's more comfortable. I was nervous, but I don't like to chat a ton.
Yeah.
Right. Some days I guess I probably do more than others on a run, but I remember that, and then to me the rest is history. Right. We became, I would like to say, good friends.
Absolutely.
Because you're a good human. We've had a lot of adventures together, on the trails, off the trails. Like I said, it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, I will never forget when people talk to me oh yeah, Harrison. Man, you got for the first. It's never he finished the 200. Oh, his skin's super soft. It's none of that stuff. It's always did you know the first time I met Harrison, he didn't say a word.
That's I've heard multiple stories about. It's not you.
Yeah.
Brian will tell me all these stories about different people, and and we weren't together at the time, and it's she'll say that so and so they thought you're a real dick. I'm And I just explained to him that you just don't say anything. I'm like, oh, well, this is great. I really put off a great first impression.
First impression's fantastic because I could
good.
see where that
I probably
could come
interview
off.
well, I would assume, too.
Yeah.
It's really great. He's not answering the question. He's just sitting there.
He just passed me a sticky note. I think he said yes.
Just hand me the resume, and that's it.
Well, so, back to, like I said, 2018 was your last race. We'll get to it in a minute, but just a few weeks ago, you came back from 2018 200-miler, and you ran the Antelope Island 50K, the Fall Classic, with some extensive training, and we'll talk about that. But where have you been, man? Bigfoot 200 last race.
Holy hell.
Where you been? What you been doing?
We've been located in the same physical place. It's just, like you said a little bit, describing like the podcast and stuff. It's just life, man. It's just, it's crazy. I did the 200 back in 2018. That was in August. I think we attempted to do the bear like a couple, month or two later
into September.
And Brienne kind of had she had to drop. We were planning on running it together. So
that's your wife.
Yes.
For those that don't know.
So we dropped from that, and that was really the last even attempt at racing. Did run a little bit, throughout the next few years or so. I stuck with doing a lot of Pilates. That was kind of fun for a while. But yeah, Brienne's had a lot of health issues. Her dad passed, a couple of years ago, and it's just a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And we talked about it, a little bit on the few times I have ran. It's been with you. I've gained a lot of perspective on people and things in life in general, because it's weird. Me, when you met me, 20-something, I don't know how old was I? 20. Let's say 20.
How old you are. I don't know how old you are right now.
15. So I was very just started to walk. But when you're running at that time, my life was a lot more simple, more generic, more like kind of cookie cutter, and in my head, I couldn't understand why people why do they have to drop from this race? Why isn't so and so out running? Because in my head,
say my name.
No, I actually wasn't even thinking of you.
You're looking right at me.
You're the only one here. But to me, it's like I didn't have even an ounce of the life experience to understand. Maybe just people have a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
And they can't go out for a run.
Yeah.
Even if that's their stress relief. Maybe things are too stressful or too hard to do that. So that's a little bit, it's without going into crazy detail. It's it's just a lot of shit. And I don't think I would have had the perspective that I do now had the last 5 years not happened.
Well, I think it's interesting because you'd mentioned that on one of our runs, and you did. We talked about it, and you were like, now I know, when you look at me, we were running together, now I know what you meant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It is something you look at on a certain level and you're thinking, why wouldn't people be here more often if it is a release or a way for them to get away or a way for them to decompress? But sometimes it's too heavy. Sometimes getting away running makes the stress larger.
There you go.
Right? It really does. So you might think you're decompressing, but only to finish your run knowing you are going to go back to something. But I thought that was a pretty interesting perspective because, like you said, I'm not going to say, you said it, the cookie cutter, simple thing with maybe not a lot of stuff. And, then you have family stuff, health stuff, work stuff, children, jobs. There's so many variables. Right. And I think everybody has their own challenge to balance those things.
Yeah.
I knew there was a time and people why do you run at 5 a.m.? I literally have no other time.
Yeah.
I get off work. I spend time with my kids. That's the only chance I really have. And so people that's why I get my long runs on the weekend. And you're like, okay, again, depending on the personal side of things, because I'm the opposite now. My life is much simpler, even though it's busy, right? And, coaching soccer, working full times, all these things, but it is simpler. And so I can find myself with that time. And fortunately for me as well, huge fortunate, my wife is a trail runner, kicks my trash, right? So it's a way for us we don't run together all the time, but we can, and it works.
Yeah.
Right. So I understand when you said that on our run, I thought it was interesting
Oh yeah.
Because I don't necessarily look at it that way. I just knew like at times what I'm dealing with. So I find that interesting. And then, as far as that timeline before you came back, I mean, you still enjoyed running.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. We still, I was run occasionally, and we did some other things. I've been fishing a lot more, which is fun. We've just done other things, and it's a little bit more interesting. Like you described, you and Sarah running together and stuff, and Brian and I used to run a ton together.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, she's had a ton of health stuff happen over the last few years, and it's different when you can't do the same things with that person. So you've got to figure out ways to do other stuff that you wouldn't normally. Normally, maybe you would have just gone out for a run, or like we'd plan like a camping thing, or you go backpacking, or anything like that you're used to. So it was. It's been again the perspective thing. It's been gaining perspective on what to do and how to do different things with the person you want to be with.
Yeah.
So more of that. I've fished a lot more in the last few years than I have since I've fished my whole life. So that's been fun. Like we play pickleball now. We've done a lot of bowling, that sort of stuff. Brian's starting her own business the past year and a half. So we're beekeepers. So a lot of other stuff that like I would not have like envisioned myself doing has happened. So that's cool.
Yeah.
We have two. I probably told you the story that we've got two cow hides hanging in our shed that I vomited so many times, getting them up hung. Over and over again. I'm not a farmer, not at all. Not at all.
You didn't mention that when you were saying beekeeper,
That's
bowler.
That's not my bio. No, that's not in there. But there's so many things that has happened over the last 4 or 5 years that I would never have thought I would have done. So it's just crazy. But yeah, it's just a lot of different stuff for the last little bit.
And then and I understand this part too. At one point we discussed it, and you're like, sometimes. And please correct me if I'm wrong, because I do mishear things a lot. I'm getting older. Sometimes, like, you wouldn't feel comfortable going out to run because that was what you did together, and it wasn't something she necessarily could do. So you kind of felt like, man, I don't want to leave, right?
Yeah, and I think I didn't. With everything that was going on, and it's definitely not something that you can just go about or shouldn't go about just your normal. Hey, I'm going to run, see you later type of thing. And it's different. I mean, I've never, experienced some of those things health-wise, and you've got to somehow wrap your mind around it, that even though something's not happening to you, it's impacting the person that you want to be with, that you're with and you care about. And it's trying to find a balance of what to do yourself and how to help that person. And it's just weird. I mean, again, it's never had to be in that position before, so it's been wild for a while,
and it kind of is
but in a good way too.
It's kind of that age-old thing with running, right? Especially on the ultra side or high mileage side, it's selfish, right? So I think and you could debate that either way, and that's not what we're here to do. But you kind of feel that way when it's like, hey, I'm going on a long run, knowing it might take 6 hours. Yeah, that you're just doing your own thing, and there has to be the right dynamic to do that and understanding. But it's still, you go, a lot of the longer stuff, right? Now, general trail running, and we talk about it all, but it can be in a way a selfish endeavor. Not that it's not needed for some people at certain times, like to get that unplugging, get away, escape, whatever you want to say. But sometimes you do think of it as, man.
Yeah, I mean, you think, and like you said, with stress relief and stuff, sometimes, the running itself is a stress relief, but you could be compounding things that are going on that you've got to take care of outside of it. That you're gone for 3 hours. You're going back and you've got a lot of other stuff you got to do. And for me, I have found that I operate better and able to run. I don't do it as a way to de-stress. I mean, it doesn't cause me to be happy.
Yeah.
I'm more apt to run and when I am already joyful and happy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't you know what I mean? Like I've got to be in a mental state to where I'm good, and then I can go for a run. If that
Well,
makes sense.
kind of the same thing of like, if you're not happy, why are you doing it, right? Like you see some people just grind and do the run but they're not enjoying it.
Yeah.
Right? Not every run's going to be quote unquote enjoyable.
Yeah.
Right. Like chasing Joel. It's not
It's
enjoyable,
not,
but it was fun at the end.
It
right?
was. It was good. Fun to see. He just took off.
Yeah, he did. We'll bring that up again too. But no, I there's a lot of truth to that. Like the enjoying what you do, trying to be in the moment. Because this morning was a great example. Like we've been running at 5 a.m. It was Thursday morning. My alarm goes off at 4:10, and I'm like, I can't. It's been like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're just slammed, and I'm going out of town on Friday. So I'm like, I really do feel like I need that extra few hours.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it was great not to feel guilty about it, even though I kind of do still.
Yeah.
Right? But running at the end of the day is running. And I hope the people that are listening, hope you enjoy it, because that's what it's all about.
That's why you do it.
And so you're back running. What brought you back? Because I remember we spoke a few months ago. You were barely getting back. Oh, yeah, I'm running the Antelope 50K in a couple months.
Well, yeah, even before that, like the one time I ran with you in the spring.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. We were like talking about, because I don't know why I chose to do this, but I was signed up for the bear.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yep, I actually know I do.
Yeah.
That's 100 miles.
That is, yeah. So in my head, I'm like, yeah, this is a great idea. Like, this is going to really force me to do, get out there and do it. It didn't at all. But that like one run in the spring that I had with you, I'm like, we were talking about a little bit, and like in my head, I'm like, I am for sure going to drop from this. Like, there's no way.
You're just going to taper from there from the spring.
There's no way that I'm saying words to you that I don't believe. We're gonna be fine. I'll be ready. My life is we're everything's a little settled. There's no way. So like I was signed up for the bear in like just a way to I don't know, maybe to use something like a race as like a motivator or something to.
There's nothing like just doing 100 to motivate you out of 4 years,
That's
5 years. Yeah,
yeah,
I get it.
So that obviously wasn't a good idea. But then I did sign up for the 50K. I don't know when. I don't know why. I don't remember why. God, I don't even remember really exactly when I clicked the button on my phone. I'm making a button clicking motion with my hands. If we had video, you'd be able to see it. So signed up for it. And I'm like, all right, this is it. This is an attainable, like you can kind of like thing where you can semi-train for. This will get me out the door. It didn't at all. Like I ran with you and Joel for like, I don't know, a couple times. And it was actually Brian that like basically forced me to like say, she's like, your body's like, you can do this. You're not going to like, cause I'm not like, and she pointed this out to me. I'm not like incredibly like injury prone. So like, even though everything hurt a lot and it was like, I was complaining a lot at the end to you. I didn't even know you were going to be there. So that was fun. There was really low risk of like, other than me just getting past. And it was fun because I started early. It was really great. There was no really real risk in theory of me like hurting myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I ended up doing it, and it was a lot of fun.
So a 50K is like 32-ish miles, give or take, depending on anything.
Yeah.
And so this is what we're going to talk about just for a minute, because it's still a pretty wild story to me, right? You had, can we just say, minor training heading into that? Would that be accurate? If you could guess,
overstating.
How many times did you run?
What time frame do you want in this? Like, guesstimation?
Give me 2 years.
All right, 2 years. I would say like running with like a purpose. As
not
far
from
as running.
The cops.
Not like not like.
What's a purpose? I guess
not like I'm running after Leo, who's using his scooter down the drive or the
like a legit trail run.
Like I am going out there for the purpose of running.
Yep.
In 2 years.
Yeah, last 2 years.
Gotta be less than 12 times.
How about the last 6 months?
How many times did I go with you?
I don't even remember. 4, 5 ish.
Probably a couple more on top of that. Maybe so. 2 years, probably maybe 15 times.
Okay.
Last 6
2
months,
years.
maybe a couple times extra from when I was with you. So
6.
7.
So you ran about 6 times in the last 6 months to prep for your 50K. So you're kind of following a pretty strict regimen of training.
Yes.
Like only on even days.
Right. It's a moon phase thing, I think, too.
With a 2 in it.
Right.
That falls on a Wednesday.
Right.
After leap year.
Something to do with Mercury.
But before Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah. So I get the strategy. So I thought it was pretty fun because one of the things, and we're going to talk about it. You started an hour early because you had things to do that evening, and the race director is a friend of ours.
Yes.
He's a good guy. Lets people do that. But again, there's some fast runners in this race.
Oh yeah.
And you started an hour early.
Absolutely.
And so you were way ahead.
Well, I was leading for a while, for at least that hour.
At least an hour.
No, that was the best 12 miles, and I would say of those handful of runs, I mean nothing over 10 miles.
Well, I was going to say let's go backwards. You kind of mentioned that you hit 9 miles and kind of went, this next step is the farthest I've run in 5 years.
This is uncharted territory. Yeah.
So you only had 23 to go, 24 to go
Right.
at that point.
Yeah,
That was like the unknown.
I was rationalizing, at that point. But yeah, I ended up, Brian drove me out there. We got packet pickup stuff, and I was surprised how many people were there. Again, I'm not around people anymore, so I don't know. I was in a line with people. I didn't know. There was no, I wasn't in my, my kitchen table, so it was really strange. So we did that. She drove me out there, and because we had First Friday,
Art stroll
to get ready for that night. So yeah, she dropped me off. I walked through like the sagebrush area. Jim was there, and Karen. So it's like, he's like, all right, yeah. Cause I texted him like the day or two before. He's like, yeah, sure. Do whatever you want. I'm like, okay, awesome. And I will do that again and again, cause that was awesome. Yeah, he's like, okay, I'll mark you down for, you started at 7:05. I'm like, all right. So I just literally, it's still dark out. People are still driving on the island, and I didn't know exactly where I was going, which is stupid because I've been out there a ton. But he changed the direction.
Yeah.
So like I haven't ran that race in like 5 or 6 years, and when it was a different direction.
And a different location,
Right,
finish.
and back when it was like less than a 50K, which was great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so this was a legit
uncharted territory.
No, we had he made it to be
harder.
The same actual amount of miles you should run. So yeah, I just kind of started walking, and I was like 55 minutes ahead of people, and saw a cool sunrise by myself, and I didn't see anybody till the ranch, like 12-ish miles in, and it was fun. I don't even know if he didn't have an aid station at the one.
He did, but I think he got there before they set it up.
I was way too fast for that.
Yeah, you were way too fast.
Flying.
Yeah, hauling. And
I got like my Timex like stopwatch on.
Your
so,
time.
Yeah.
Is that a Swatch watch?
Yeah. So if you could, we're not on camera, but you could see it. So I did my little thing. I don't have any tell me what, I don't like tech or whatever, but I was flying. I was doing probably.
So you say I don't have one of those tell me techs. So you mean a GPS watch? So they've been around a long time. So I mean,
we'll talk gear.
Yeah. We're not going to have you on the gear podcast, probably,
no. Or any sort of. Yeah, I'm running in like 7-year-old like Cascadias, like bomb proof.
Cascadia 4s.
Yeah, like the original. Scott Jurek, he's the one that he loves these. I love that guy. So the first 12 miles was amazing, completely flat, like that is. But I didn't hit the one aid station, and there's people there, at an aid station like there are typically, and it was like right before I got passed by the leader, right? So I was hopeful that I didn't say a word, you said, I don't say anything to people. I didn't know these people for many years, so I wouldn't obviously say anything.
Yeah. I'll tell you in 3 years.
Yeah, that's obviously somehow terrifying to me with my weird social anxiety. I didn't say anything to him. So I always, it's funny because I hope they in their head they were thinking, holy shit, this guy he's leading, but he looks rough. He's walking a lot.
He started way too soon.
Yeah, it's
way too.
He's crushing chips and leaders.
Big Mac.
People don't. Yeah, this isn't He's got a really old water bottle in his hand. It's I
think he's lost.
Yeah, it's his pack is 12 years old. Yeah, I didn't say anything. I didn't say oh, I started early. There's people behind me. Whatever. I just kept going, and it was just funny because and then we started going past to the backside, and when it got to the uphill portion, I was obviously walking.
You haven't done a lot of vert?
No, up and down steps to the house. Then I got past, obviously, and they were flying. Holy shit!
Well, I can imagine in their mind, they're like, "Holy cow, this guy! How did he get in front?"
And
of me?
I'm hopeful it caused confusion because that's really what I was smiling every time I got past. And the one guy, like the one guy, like on the backside, it was going downhill, and I was my legs were just unbelievably destroyed. Like peg legging down, like any downhill. I've briefly, like in my mind, I debated on like, is this the time when people like walk backwards? Like, do they run backwards?
Save their quads.
To save their quads. So, but the one guy that passed me on one of those downhills, like he's like, "Are you all right? Did you fall?" I'm thinking to myself, "No, I'm just really in pain." Like, but he legit thought like the way that I looked, there was some sort of medical event or something. Something happened to where like I needed help. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm just not. I just shouldn't be doing this.
He's like, you're in third.
It's like I just hope that every time that any one of those people that had prepared for the race, good for them. Anytime they passed me, like who the hell? What is this person doing?
He went out hard.
Yeah, she's struggling. Sure was. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you finished the race in 6 hours 42 minutes, 50K.
It was not. Yeah, it was all right. It was very painful. It was fun. I will say it was super fun. Mainly because I have like this. I do have like a nostalgic like thing with Antelope Island for some reason. It's like it's the first place I really trail ran a lot in Utah, because I first moved to Davis County, unfortunately, and so the first few years, any long run I would do on the island.
Yeah,
all the races that I, when I wanted to run fast, I signed up for an Antelope Island
races.
Race.
Yeah.
So like, it was cool to like
be back
to remember everything. It's like, I not that 4 or 5 years is a long time, but it felt like a long time. So it's like it's just fun to be back to where everything felt so familiar.
Well, I enjoyed it because I emceed the finish line, bringing runners in. And I remember you came in and then you hung out for a while with us. And I remember at one point you turned to me and you're like, so I got 5 more minutes. And then everybody else was behind me. Yeah. And that just was so funny because you'd been done. It's like, okay, basically everybody the next 55 minutes beat me, even though I've been done. But I'll tell you, at 56 minutes, I beat the rest of the people.
And that was even fun to do that because, like, people were like at the end, not even, but like during the whole race, people were racing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a race.
Yeah.
There's a bib.
Yep, there's a
racing.
bib. Even though there were no safety pins.
Yeah, I was there early. I got some safety pins. It was just fun because, like, in my head, I was not racing. I was like surviving, which it was a blast. But like,
so you basically ran a race how I've done my entire career.
That might be it.
See, so now you know how I feel.
But it was
That's every race.
I will do this early start thing as much as I can, because like when people are passing you, towards the end even, because they're racing. Yeah. In their head, they believe I'm gonna beat this guy, right? But in actuality, I'm 55 minutes behind them. Yeah. Like they've already beat me. They beat me 3 miles ago. They were ahead of me. They just didn't know it yet.
This is a very complex story problem at this point. Like I can see some issues with figuring this out because they see him like, I'm going to pass this guy, literally knowing, okay, I got 54 minutes to get past this guy.
You could you could stop right now and like take a nap and then keep going, and you still beat me. Because it was fun. Because like, it was not in a good way towards the end, but it was fun. I could not run uphill. So apparently, like the whatever muscles, like the uphill muscles.
There's a few of them.
Yeah, the one I'm making a motion you can't see. We're not in the video yet. But like whatever like causes your legs to lift up.
There's multiple muscles.
Right.
It's a chain reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever the things in here.
You got your hip flexors.
That might be what it was.
Yeah. They help.
Weird. I'll tell you another thing that was constantly in my head during this whole thing, which was stupid. But yeah, whatever muscles that go like this,
pick your legs off the ground. Yeah,
did not work for the uphill stuff.
Okay.
So it was like
you had a lot of muscle failure,
right?
Then because there's a lot going on right now.
So whatever was a slight uphill was not happening.
Yeah.
It was just like what is that, White Rock?
Yeah.
Whatever that little loop coming back to what used to be the start line before. It's very much not, it's not steep, but that little tiny grade of uphill is just no bueno.
You're just shuffling, wearing the bottoms of your shoes off.
Yeah, they're so old. Yeah, those are not my pickleballing shoes. So what's all
there you go. Yeah. Mine would just go to lawn mowing shoes. So
no, but I was thinking about in my head. I don't know if you saw, I don't know why I haven't heard of this, but like Kevin Hart, the comedian, like apparently like tore his leg, like some tendons in his legs because
car wreck, right? Is that the one?
No, he's like he raced somebody at a 40-yard dash.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, I heard this story about it, so that was in my head. I'm like, am I gonna like rip my legs to where like I have to be like in a wheelchair or something?
Well, he's not.
Right. So it's like that was in my head for some reason. Like I'm going to cause something, but I didn't.
Well, because the original thing was you and Brian talking is, I'm not injury prone. Right. I should be fine. And then you go from that to,
I was in my head on that one. Yeah.
My hip flexors are going to shatter and split and all the things they don't do. That's pretty good.
All the muscles are going to come out and explode and
pop out. I've had that where my quads feel like it's popping out of my skin going up a hill. So that, I mean, that's just a fun story because it was like, oh yeah, I mean, it's a 50K. Right, 32 miles. Now, there used to be a thing on our podcast where we would talk about once you get into running kind of we'll say ultra distance, right? Because we used to talk about this on the podcast. If you're in an ultra, if you've run ultras and you've done them for a little bit anyway, you can fake a 50K, we call it.
Yeah.
You can't fake a 100-miler.
50
milers debatable, and I think everything depends on a course, but you still just don't want to fake a 50K, right?
No.
But I think, hopefully, like you said out there, as opposed to like being miserable, regretting your decision, being angry, you were kind of like reminiscing too. So it kind of like you had some ebb and flow probably.
Yeah.
Right?
No, yeah, for sure. I think I did tell Bryce Warren that I should not have done this when I'm out there, but for the most part, yeah, it was just fun. I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to run much at all, especially a race. So it was just kind of a way to just appreciate, I get to do this. This is awesome. I mean, I never thought that I would have this long of a break in between, because, when you're running every day and that's your thing that you do, you don't think in your head you're not going to do it anymore. But it's just fun to be there. And see a lot of people that I don't normally see all the time that I used to see, like yourself and Jim, and you used to see a lot. So it's just fun.
So with that kind of transitioning from that, I know it was one sample size, right? And of the extensive training you did may not be the best example, but from what you see in that small sample size, how has things changed? Did you notice anything like that's changed, right?
Yeah.
In trail running, in racing, not in general. I mean,
I don't know with that sort of race. It would be interesting to see, to get back to the longer distances to see how things have changed there.
Or maybe a higher profile race, right? Because Jim's races are always low key.
Yeah.
Great feel, great vibe, but he keeps that consistent. That's why so many people like those races, right? The Antelope Island stuff. But just like curious, like, did you see much? I mean, whether it was the runners, and we'll get into gear, so don't jump there yet.
Bingo.
But was there anything else that really was like? Did you feel like you've been gone for 5 years, other than
a little bit? I mean, it did see like gear wise and what people carry and all that was different. I definitely saw more like Solomon type stuff, a lot more minimalist type things. Again, it's a 50K, so it's not like you get to pack. You
don't have to. Some people do.
You're not. It's not a day hike or whatever. But
did you see a lot of?
It kind of was.
Did you see a lot of people with those watches that tell them stuff? I think they're called GPS.
I did see that.
You did see that.
I did see that. So that was that was interesting. I remember to hit my start on my stopwatch, so I was happy about that. I did see a little bit of that. It's just different. I mean, the gear's a little different. What people, I don't know how people look. It's different. I don't know. I've aged in 6 years, 5 or 6 years.
You're 38.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, to all the listeners out there, he's 38. So he's still a young buck. So like the transition from 5 years and the training, I guess we should have led with that. There's a lot of people out there thinking you might be my age, collecting golden corral discounts. But it's still a young, relatively young, and even in the ultra community. So, there is that. So now a lot of people are like, oh God, no wonder, man. Like I was thinking this, but he's just some young whippersnapper.
I don't know. It's I do think it's not specific to people wise. It looks similar. Like just because I think you're like you said, Jim's races kind of attract. I would hope it's still more of like a low key feel. That sort of person that wants that, which is awesome. I prefer that over any sort of like fanfare or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, just I'm way behind on like any sort of gear or shoes or apparel or whatever. It's just it looks different. It's just a different look. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but
I think it's what you want it to be.
Yeah.
Like I'm a gear person, always have been, always probably will be. But I just remember when you showed up to one of the runs, you like literally had like a big cotton hoodie.
Yes.
To run in, and your shoes were not new. And I remember you asking me, like I remember you showed up, and I'm like, you're gonna wear a cotton like that big, heavyweight hoodie, and you were jamming in that, and then you were asking me questions about what do you wear now for shoes, like what's going on with the shoes.
I will say I have not gotten over the whole Pearl Izumi thing.
You're still having some
that dates me, at least a while back. I have not found anything. Not that I've really tried.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, because you've been gone a bit.
Yeah, so that's why I was asking. I mean, I've got some old. They weren't old. I've got some other Brooks shoes that I'm wearing now, but again, they're like 5 years old.
Yeah,
it might be new out of the box, but that box has been sitting there for 5 or 6 years. So that's what I was asking you. I don't even know what the hell to wear.
Kicking the mice out of there.
Yeah,
saying, hey, get out of this isn't your house. This is my shoe.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm way behind.
Well, we do have a couple gear Christmas guide episodes coming up that I think would benefit you.
That'd be good.
Not that you have to go that route, because if the Timex is working, if the Brooks are working, all out with the hoodies. Yeah. I mean, that's your thing. I get it. Some people, that's their jam, right? But I thought that was pretty interesting when we started chatting gear a little bit.
Yeah.
Because a lot has changed. A lot has changed. And for the record, in the past 5 years, for sure, there's other shoes that have come out that are claiming to say, oh man, these are like the Pearl replacement. But they're not.
Yeah.
I've tried so many. They're like, oh yeah, this one here, this is like the one that was like the Pearl shoe. And I put it on, I'm like, no. It's not. And the funny thing is when they say that, and I know I can try one on, I wear my Pearl shoes.
See?
And so I can leave one on and the other one, and I'm like, man, are you kidding me right now? That's nothing close. So
I'm totally out.
But there's some good shoes out there. There's some really good shoes out there. And again, shoes, it's funny though, like, we're kind of getting off, but like gear is very personalized. Like you can't say this is the best trail running shoe for everyone, right? It's so different. And I think the same for, any bit of apparel, but I would recommend upgrading your shoes.
I probably need to.
Yeah. I mean, even though they're new out of the box, they might be broken down inside.
They look pretty cool, though.
Yeah. I mean, they might be poisonous if you put them in your mouth at this point, too. More poisonous.
I go by they're yellow. They look pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. If I do get into anything as far as a little bit longer distances and things in the foreseeable future, I'm going to have to revisit this stuff, because that's the one thing I always despise about like the long distance, like the longer like 100-mile whatever ish. I was never good at it. I hate just carrying stuff.
Yeah, and you hate nutrition plans.
Yes, I do.
Because you went through them. I remember once it was like Skittles.
Yeah.
Just tons of Skittles the whole 100-miler. You've done some chews of some sort.
Yeah.
Laffy Taffies, I think they were. Yeah. You've done one of my favorites. There was like an iced tea.
Oh yeah, sweet tea.
Sweet tea. Yeah. You thought that was the hydration drink.
That was a fad back in the day. That was just me.
That was a fad in the South.
Just me.
They brew on the porch, But no, you always had some interesting.
Yeah.
How you gonna feel this race? I brought a bunch of Skittles.
Everything sucked, so it didn't even matter. So for the 50K, I just had some gummy bears or some gummy worms in my thing. So, but I was going so at a just such
slower
a slow
pace
clip. It didn't matter. I mean,
you had a hoagie for all that matter.
Yeah, it's like I was leading the race, just crushing chips at that first race.
I get a bite of this 12-inch sub every mile till I finish.
Well,
you kind of mentioned it, and I'm interested too. Is like, so what do you think's next for you in episode 124?
Oh man,
you talked about the Tahoe 200, right? That was something you were interested in. Another one that I'm bringing up is you wanted to go sub 18 at the Buffalo 100. That was like etched in your brain.
That's still there.
So what is next? Where do you, without looking and saying and being, as you say it, there's no way. What do you feel is next in just like getting back out and enjoying it? You also mentioned like doing it for whatever reason you're there for. Is there any type of idea / plan for the future?
I would think like realistically, obviously the Tahoe 200 is way not going to happen. I think
Ever?
I don't know, whatever.
Not
More
this
than
week.
likely, I would love to do something of one of Jim's races in was it March?
Buffalo.
Probably like
runs.
50 miler.
Okay.
I would like to do that. That's probably the next thing. And beyond that, I don't know. I do think if it does evolve to where I'm able to be a little bit more consistent and get back to a little bit to where I was. I do think that sub 18 I'd love to be able to do. And it's just stupid. There's no reason for it.
I disagree with that.
Just in my head, it's again, it's just like nostalgia, like history. Because I did my first 100 miler on the island, and that was fun. Because in my head, I'm like, here I can run this many miles and this fast, and it's like, I don't know how old I was, but
well, I mean, you're 38 now, so you're probably 12.
12 and a half. And I think I did that my first 100 like 21 hours and something, and my feet hurt worse than I could ever imagine, and then
21-23.
There you go.
8th place overall.
You're doing your research.
Hey man, I got a computer.
Yeah.
Though we have those since 5 years ago too.
I'm stuck, and this is what my lovely wife says. I stopped like learning or evolving after like 2007.
Well, hey, so Buffalo 100, your last one, and when you finished in 1822, you were 2nd overall.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah.
Who was first? Here's a test.
Oof.
I know the answer.
Okay, there's two. I did. It was twice. I was 2nd twice in that race.
Okay. This year, it was Jeremy Bradford from Denver.
From Colorado, yeah.
Yeah, he came in at 17:48, so you were only 26 minutes behind him.
Yeah.
That's not a lot in a 100-miler.
No, I was. Those couple races were like, that was in like the life transition of divorce, where like you're running well because like you're angry at the world or want to prove something. But yeah, so ever since, I would love to go under 18.
Oh yeah, you did 18:47 for 2nd place one year. That year you were behind Brant Kelterer from Denver. Denver's got your number, man.
Yeah.
That's 2 times by Denver folk.
God.
And that was 17:12, so that was a little bit quicker.
Right. I feel like I was probably not going to pass.
Hour 30 behind.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you said it's kind of silly or not good. I think you have it in your brain, man. Like, why not? Go for it.
Yeah.
Right? Like sub 18, you're 22 minutes off, 23 technically off that, over 100 miles. I'm not good at math, but that's just trimming a little bit of time.
Yeah. I think it's not out of the realm of possibility in the future. So that'd be fun. I mean, aside from that, I don't really know. Like we were talking, just I think we were texting back and forth. I would love to do Waldo again.
Yeah.
I just think of places that where I've enjoyed running or have enjoyed hiking or backpacking or whatever. So that would be a fun one to do again. I don't know. And again, once I get back more into it, I don't know how things have changed or how I've always wanted to run or be at races that are a little more low key, and a little more old school, I guess. So
El Vaquero,
hopefully
there's
those, they still exist.
They still exist. There's probably a lot more than we know, like we think about, because it's getting a little crazy, and that'll be another episode. But either way, I'm glad you're back out. It's been super fun running with you again, breathing heavy with you, chasing things and people. But it's been super fun, and man, I really, really, really appreciate you jumping on the podcast to get us kicked off all over again. again, I'm super excited. We'll definitely have you back on, probably as even a guest host.
Okay.
We're going down that route moving forward. And yeah, just so much fun to catch up on.
Yeah,
really.
No, I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, it's. I just like to see you. I'm glad you're doing it again. It's good to hear your voice on the podcast. Well, I'm not hearing you. You're right here. I see you.
You will if you listen to it.
But
no,
yeah,
it's
I'm
been
happy
great. Honestly, I've had people ask, "Are you bringing it back? Are you bringing it back?" Because we've stuttered and started way too many times, and I said if I do, it's one more thing. If I bring it back and it's a stutter start, I'm done. Just done. I don't want to tarnish it even more than it probably is, but I do love it, and I think there's a lot of stories out there. Not necessarily just like the front of the pack, but just a lot of fun stories, a lot of good people, a lot of good friends, and it's enjoyable. So I'm really excited to be back, but I'm really happy you came back for episode 3, 2, 1.
Wow.
Ooh, that sounds like ready to go.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, ready to go. But yeah, thanks for coming on. We'll have you again for sure. Like I mentioned, we'll probably even get you on a guest host when we can throw another guest on here. So,
Sweet. Love to do
thanks for joining episode 3, 2, 1. All right, so thanks, Harrison, again for coming on. Remember, we are back, and we still got a lot of fun stuff going on, just like the old days, adding some new. We do have our Ask Trail Manners segment through social media or manners@trailmanners.com. We like to answer questions on the podcast. We still have our Trail Manners flags that you can email me, check out, take on your cool runs, take some photos, sign them, send them back. Some cool Trail Manners merch. We do have a donate button, as Harrison kind of mentioned. We got some new gear that we didn't give for free. But also, hey, check out, give us a review on iTunes, and please share this with your friends. I don't know how many of you out there left that have listened to the Trail Manners podcast, but we'd love to have you all back and share it to a whole new group of people. But let us know what you want to hear about, who you want to be, who wants to be a guest, who you want to have be a guest. So I'm a little rusty. But anyway, it's great to be back. Stay tuned for our next episode. It's just coming out in a couple more days. We're going to give one day off for Thanksgiving. We are thankful for you. And then we have another new segment of the show coming out. It's a Runcation episode number 322, where we're going to have a new beer of the week and just a lot more to talk about and a lot more to be happy about. So again, thanks for listening to the Trail Manners podcast. A huge, huge thanks to one of the best humans I know, Harrison Fluman. And again, thank you all that are out there in the world and family, most likely, listening to the Trail Manners podcast. I'm Eric Manning. I'm out. Thank you for listening to the Trail Manners podcast, and welcome back. I want to thank Harrison Fluman for joining us today. I also want to encourage everybody to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Trail Manners, or swing by our website, trailmanners.com. There you can click the donate button, or you can check out our store page for some cool Trail Manners gear, and both donations and purchases sure help the show. And you can always hit us up on the contact page or email me at manners@trailmanners.com and let me know what you want to see, who you want to hear, or if you would like to be in the show. And besides, I always love hearing from you. Don't forget to share us with your friends, and if you could take just a minute to subscribe to the show and leave us a rating and review on iTunes or Facebook, I would truly appreciate it. Until next time, this is Eric Manning, still reminding you, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. Now go get it.